Hello and welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of my Gio Goldtop build. This time I'm going to be focusing on the neck while the body does its thing. The previous video, I got the cavity filled and covered and the old control holes filled and did some work on the neck pocket and all that kind of stuff. Finally decided what I want to do as far as mounting the neck. But what I'm doing this time is inlays. And this part frankly scares the shit out of me. I've only done one actual inlay, and it was such a hack job that I'm almost afraid to call it an inlay, you know. But what I got here from Philadelphia Luthier Tools, I got Les Paul trapezoid inlays. They're the yellowish ones, and they are going to replace the dots, like that. I also have a set of Goto tuners coming. They're going to fit in here, and they have the kind of yellowish keystone, the plastic keystone knobs, like are on the Les Paul, vintage style. Yeah, I'm kind of going all out on this thing. I'm missing my 24th fret inlay. They misunderstood my question when I asked them during the order. That's going to be a tight one anyway. There's really like very little wiggle room in here. I will be filling the double dots because, as you can see here, I think this is the right one. I put this one on. You can see the dots are kind of peeping out from the edges, so I can't have that. Probably what I'll do is when I carve out the wood for these, because I'm going to be doing it kind of old style. I don't have a router or a Dremel or anything like that, so I will be using this new chisel I got, and I got brand new X-Acto blades, and I got my masking tape, and I think everything I need to start this little project. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, some of the wood that I'm going to take out, I'm going to save it, and probably make plugs to put in once those inlays are in, to cover that up. That way I can kind of hopefully match the grain. So yeah, that is going to be the focus of this episode. Yeah, basically you just taking the I'm gonna go ahead and mask up these dots. Apparently I can't talk and do tape at the same time. I'll be doing a lot of measuring. Just really, Les Paul inlays only come in 4 different sizes, I think. I didn't know this, but they use the same size for the 3rd and 5th, same size for the 7th and 9th, same size for the 12th and 15th, and then the other 3 are all the same size. I did not realize that. But that also means my 24th fret is also going to be the same size as the 17th, 19th, and 21st. So I will at least be able to get that cut out until I get my last inlay in the mail. Get these. Now the reason I'm doing this is because when I put the inlay down, I will score around the inlay into the wood and it will leave, like if I peel that part off, then after I score the wood, it'll leave me a void in the tape to use as a guide to do the rest of the cutting. I'm going to try to keep my X-Acto to about the same depth as the inlay itself, because I don't want to have to do like much sanding, if any at all, because I really don't want to have to refret this thing. The frets are actually in really good shape. Very little wear. The frets are probably the best thing about this guitar at the moment. But alright, so there I've got all those. Alright, so I'll go ahead and lay out my inlays. As you can see, there's those two, and then these two. Here we go. I was missing one for a second. Yeah, and actually the ones at the bottom are actually wider than the ones at the top. They get shorter and wider. So, yeah, having never like really seen a Les Paul up close, I'm kind of like learning about them as I'm doing this. Alright, so what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and put this inlay on there. Now I could probably eyeball them pretty good, but I'm going to go ahead and do some actual measuring. Let me find my ruler here. Alright. Now these inlays are about 17 millimeters. Okay. Get my pen, so 17 millimeters. Space between my frets is 30, I'm sorry. So, at 15 I will put a line. Which I will go ahead and stand all that across, give myself a center line to work with. 17. So it's going to be about 8.5 millimeters. Right about there. I'm gonna make a mark at the top of each corner, sort of. Now, all this is sort of a hybrid version of what I learned watching YouTube. So, I'm going to go ahead and find the center line here. I'm just going to eyeball it because I'm sure they put the dots in pretty evenly. Because they use machines for all that. So there's my crosshair. Alright. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, this is probably painful to watch. Alright, so the inlay is actually 30 millimeters wide. That's pretty wild. So I'll go 15 millimeters from the center line. I'm just gonna move this over so I can do this real quick. About 15 and 15. That's about right. Okay. Now, that ought to give me a good, there we go. Yeah. So there's my inlay position where I need it to be. Alright. I'm a little scared here. This is the first time I've done this. Score along this line. Now, I've been watching some videos of people doing this on YouTube. They've got this method they're using called cut to cut that I'm going to attempt to do. Now, to make sure when I run this thing, I don't let this inlay move. I want to have my outline about as tight as I can get it. I'm only going to go through this process on camera for, oh, you can't even really see what I'm doing, can you? Move this thing over here. I got a candle holder as a tripod. Trying not to get too carried away with my blade here. Alright, now one more cut. Yeah, no, I was just cutting that with my left hand. And that's why I cut with my left hand. All right. There's my inlay scored out, if you can see that. I'll go ahead and peel this off. What that's going to do is going to leave me the spot where I'm going to need to do my chiseling. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to score it just a little bit deeper right here. These spots. To be really careful. I don't overshoot my corners. Especially when I'm going this way, because the knife will tend to follow the grain. And if I don't get this deep enough to begin with, I can always go back and cut it deeper. All right, so there's that. All right. This is the part that I've never actually done before. I should probably test it out on another neck. So, but you know what? Nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? All right, let's see. I'm gonna need a cigarette for this. And some coffee. This is how I drink my coffee. Big old mug of it. Okay. I'm going to need a little more light. There we go. That'd be better. I've got this little clip-on light. Yeah, I'm glad I bought it. Oh, I can actually really see my lines really well now. All right, let's see if I remember how they did this. Was it this way? Kind of looks like what they did. Oh, shit. See? I think I was supposed to be going the other way. And they make it look so easy on the YouTubes. I don't know, I might have dulled my chisel. Cat's in trouble. Sally's a punk. Sally's a punk. She's always getting in trouble. Let's try it on this side. Yeah, it looks a little more like what they were doing on the YouTubes. I hope you're all enjoying watching the struggle here. This is not as easy as they made it look like on the YouTube. They made rosewood look like butter. Whereas, like I said, I probably dulled out my chisel doing all the other crap, so. Cutting diagonal real good.
full of space. Little green waiter comes to offer us drinks. None of us really knows what to think. Now get away. The restaurant at the end of the universe. The restaurant at the end of the universe. Sitting and talking, and here comes the food. We're being entertained by some lounge lizard dude. The next thing we know, the ceiling is opening. The grand finale will soon be happening. After the The restaurant at the end of the universe. The restaurant at the end of the
Yeah, I probably should have practiced this on another neck first. I have a couple. But, you know, let's go ahead and dive in, right? Alright. I have successfully, of course it's not level, I need to cut this thing way deeper, but the perimeter is in there. It's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing deeper. I'm only about halfway. These things are a lot thicker than I thought they were. So I'm going to do that off camera and probably go ahead and do the rest of them, and then I'll be back when I'm done. Alright, I've spent a little bit of time sanding and stuff. Basically took one of my shims and used 60 grit sandpaper, and then went to what is this, a 320, and then to a 600, and then to a 1500. And it's a little bit wavy, but you know, kind of without taking the frets off. You know, it's kind of, you're just going back and forth between the two frets, and you kind of end up with a little bit of waviness to it, but it's not bad. I want to keep on polishing this. Let me show you this though. Right there is one of my plugs, 12th fret. It turned up pretty good. You almost can't see it. The other one's a little more obvious, but not bad. I'm going to go over this with some oil. I just hit it with my 5000 grit sanding thing. I'm going to hit it with some, I'll probably hit it with some polish first, just to kind of polish up these markers a little bit. And then hit the board with some oil. And then I'm going to do a little bit of smoothing out on these frets. Some of them got a little bit chewed up, but not too bad. So that's where I am right now. Alright, that concludes part 3 of the Ibanez Gio Goldtop build. That was pretty much the inlay work. I'll do some more work on the fretboard later on in a future video. I hope you enjoyed it. That was probably the most tedious part of the job so far. Join me for part 4. Thank you for watching.